Okay, take 2 on this because my memory card was full and didn't record the previous one. We have now arrived in the 9th circle of hell, the Treacherous. The 9th circle is broken up into 4 rounds. The first round being Cania, traitors to their kindred. The second, Antenora, traitors to their country. The third, Ptolemea, traitors to their guests, and the fourth, Giudecca, traitors to their lords. The 9th layer is a massive and frozen circular lake called Cocytus. Inside the lake there are countless sinners frozen and trapped in the ice, forever hypothermic and unable to die. The poets, having just been lowered from the 8th circle and placed on the ice, enter into Cania, the first round, named after Cain, who was the first traitor to one's kindred. The poets begin to walk across the ice, and after a short while, they encounter a sinner whose head and neck is poking above the ice. This man is named Cassiamon, and he points to 2 nearby sinners, Alessandro and Napoleon degli Alberti, who were brothers and lords of Mangona. They got in a fight one day and killed each other, not only betraying their ties of blood, but their ties to their duty as lords. Surprisingly, the poets do not stop to interrogate the men this time, and instead walk into the second round, Antenora, named after Antenor, who was a Trojan that betrayed his city to the Greeks. He too is trapped in the ice, but his neck is below the ice, keeping his head in place. As they walk, Dante stumbles over a head poking out of the ice, who begins to scream at Dante. Dante screams back while ripping out his hair in chunks, demanding to know who he is. The man finally gives in, and Dante relents. He introduces himself as Bocca degli Abbati, who sabotaged Florence in the Battle of Monteperti. He continues to yell, naming several others around him. Dante screams back at him that he will return to the world and tell the truth of what he has done. With that, he storms off with Virgil. As they walk, they see 2 sinners frozen in one hole together, one gnawing on the back of the neck of the other. These 2 characters are from a story called the Thebaid, where they died in similar circumstances. The 2 committed treasonous acts in life and are damned to lie here in the ice forever. Dante gets the man who is eating the other's attention, and he stops, wipes his mouth on the other's hair, and turns to Dante. He begins to tell Dante of his horrible sins that he committed in life, eventually returning to eating the other man out of hatred. The poets continue and enter into Ptolemea, where the sinners are trapped deeper in the ice, with only their faces poking out. Their horrible, sinful tears freezing in their eyes, blinding them forever. They soon encounter another man, who begins to beg them to break the ice off of his face. Dante agrees on the condition that he tells him who he is. He obliges and introduces himself as Friar Albergio, who Dante knew in life. Dante is confused as to why he is here, as he was still alive when Dante was last on Earth, which was only like 16 hours ago at this point. Friar Albergio explains that when sins as horrible as his are committed, like murder, the perpetrator's soul is immediately sucked down into hell and their body is filled with a demon. This was a common explanation for possessions back then. Dante, being Dante, makes an offhand remark that the city where Friar Albergio is from is such a terrible place that if a friar there were to be possessed by a demon, nobody would even be able to tell the difference. Again, with Dante and his theme of, oh, well, Florence is the best place in the world, and if you're not from there, you suck. The poets decide to just leave him with the ice on his face and march off towards Giudecca. Albergio was a Florentine friar in the late 1200s. In 1284, he got into an argument with his brother, who struck him in retaliation. Albergio told his brother that he forgives him, but a year later, in 1285, while at a banquet, he had his brother and his brother's son murdered by hired assassins. He did this by saying a code phrase, being to, quote, bring out the fruit. This created the saying of Friar Albergio's bad fruit, which is apparently a saying in Italian. They enter into Giudecca, where the traitors to their lords lie. Here, the sinners are completely encased in the ice and are unable to move from whatever terrible positions they have been contorted into. At the very center of this lake lies Lucifer himself, the face of Dis, the emperor of the universe of pain, as Dante calls him. Lucifer used to be an angel, possibly the archangel, or a seraph, who challenged God's ideas after the creation of man and was cast into hell for it. The distinction between archangel and seraph is important, as each title implies a slightly different reason as to why he was cast into hell. Angelology is a very vast and complicated field, and I'm not going to get into it right now, but this video, which should be in one of the corners, I think it's this one, by Windigoon, is a great place to start. Now, Satan being such a divisive character in artistic and theological history, he has been depicted in a lot of different forms, such as Baphomet, the archangel, a seraph, the devil, a traditional idea of Satan, a modern idea of Satan, Beelzebub, the lord of flies, John Milton's Lucifer, and his visage in Dante's Inferno, which is what we're going to talk about right now. He is hideous, his enormous form half trapped in the ice, Dante remarking that he is closer to a mountain than a man. His terrible wings beat endlessly, creating the cold winds that keep the lake frozen, Dante remarking that they are bigger than any ship's sail that has ever flown. On his head he has 3 faces, a grotesque mockery of the Holy Trinity, each a different color, each chewing on a sinner in its mouth. From his 6 eyes he weeps, and from his 3 mouths blood and pus foam out. The face on the left, which is Satan's right, is a disgusting yellow color. The middle is a fiery red, and the right, which is Satan's left, is a muddy brown. Virgil explains that the sinner in the mouth of the red face is Judas Iscariot. The skin on his back has been flayed off, and his legs hang out of Satan's mouth, while he screams in insurmountable pain and writhes around for all eternity. Judas was one of the 12 apostles who followed Jesus. When Jesus was being searched for by the Romans, Judas gave him up for a sum of money, which was actually roughly $200 in today's money. So, yikes. Thanks to Judas, the Romans found him and shortly thereafter crucified him. He is in hell for the betrayal of Jesus and God by proxy. In the mouth of the brown face is Brutus, his torso hanging from the mouth, and he does not scream, cry, or fight back. Marcus Junius Brutus was a Roman politician at the time of Caesar. He was the driving force behind Caesar's assassination, and this is obviously a betrayal of a lord, so he is in hell. And in the mouth of the yellow face is Cassius, his torso too hanging out, silent and still. Gaius Cassius Longinus was the brother-in-law of Brutus, who also spearheaded the assassination of Caesar. Dante liked Caesar a lot, going so far as to place him on a throne in limbo, because he was in limbo, if you recall. So obviously, any crime done against Caesar puts you in the very bottom of hell, where Satan chews on you forever. Seems like there might have been someone more fitting for this, but go off, Dante. The poets stand and watch Satan for a short time before Virgil, again, picks up Dante and carries him over to one of Satan's wings. As it flaps down, Virgil grabs onto it and hoists them onto Satan's back. He begins to climb down the back using the ice and matted fur as holds, because Satan has fur, I guess. Once they reach his thighs, gravity flips and they begin ascending. Even though they're upside down right now and also he's like fully encased in ice, the geometry of this part doesn't really make any sense, but don't worry about it. They continue to ascend until they reach his ankles, where they step out onto a small rocky ledge looking down into hell. On Dante's left, a small river pours out into hell. This is the river Lethe, that literally washes the sins away from those in purgatory, sending them back to hell. Dante looks up from the monstrous pit into the sky and sees 4 stars, representing the 4 cardinal virtues. And that is how Inferno ends. There might be a video I'm going to do after this that is going to briefly go over Purgatorio and Paradiso, but no promises. That is Dante's Inferno. What a ride.